You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy Podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
Morning. Good morning, everybody. Said good morning, everyone. Hope you're all fantastic, safe, and well around this beautiful world of ours. It is the Three's a Crowd Northeast Football Podcast, the only podcast where we talk Newcastle, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough every weekend. We bring three teams together, traditionally rivals, and we have a bit of banter, we have a bit of laughs, and we do it with none other than Mr. Stevie Wraith and Ted the Mackham. Good morning to you, Steve.
Good morning, sir. How are you? And happy birthday to Eddie Howe today.
Oh, happy birthday to who's that? Is that that's
our manager, mate?
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Sorry about that. And Teddy boy, good morning to you, good sir.
Good morning, matey. Good morning. I do apologise. I'm a little bit bleary-eyed. I've just woken up. I'm not going to lie to you. I had a very broken night's sleep. I have rich man's disease, gout.
He's got it. He's got it. I mean, I've been telling you for the past previous pods how old you're getting, and now you've got the symptoms of old man. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
yes.
I don't know, Ted. It's
the grey hair, everything else is falling apart. Unbelievable. Absolutely.
Steve and I might have to talk about going younger. I'm just saying. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Just for the demographic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, the young crowd don't want to come in and see, you with your rich man diseases and stuff like that.
Do you know what I mean? 13-year-old Swedish manager, and all of a sudden you think you're too old for us? All right,
I mean, we've got a 37-year-old manager. I'm actually officially older than our manager now. Do you know what I mean? So, like, we're just keeping it young. We're keeping it fresh here. Do you know what I mean? Hip hop. Right, welcome on in. Three's a Crowd. We've got so much to talk about. We have got a shorter show today because we have to get Mr. Steve Wraith off to Everton today, so we won't be with you for the full hour. It'll be a 45-minute show, but we have got a lot to talk about, lots of it happening in Clubland, and let's do it quickly. Middlesbrough have got a new manager in Kim Hellberg. The Swedish manager has been appointed this week. His first game in charge will be today for Middlesbrough against Derby at the Riverside Stadium. Kim Hellberg comes from Hammarby in the Swedish League, where he has finished second for the past 2 seasons. Kim Hellberg is a very, very well-known manager in the European circuit. His dad was a manager for over 35 years, and he's taken the reins. He said that he did play a little bit of football, but he knew pretty quickly on that he wasn't ever going to be very good at it, and that coaching was going to be his thing. Youngest manager ever to come to Middlesbrough, the second one to be born outside of Europe as well. Stevie Gibson, of the same name, has gone for a Swedish type. The last manager we've ever had that wasn't born in Britain, was Aitor Karanka, and he did all right.
It's a bold appointment, I think. I mean, it's reminiscent of what Sunderland did with Lebris, really, a complete unknown after being linked with numerous big names. So Borough have taken their time. Steve Gibson has not really made many mistakes, I don't think, with appointment of managers. Some of the managers Borough have had haven't done well elsewhere, but they've done well at Borough. And I think the one thing that Hellberg can be guaranteed of is he'll get time. And he'll get time to get it right. And if it doesn't go right this season, then he'll get an opportunity next season to set his stall out and do what he wants to do to try and get Middlesbrough into the Premier League and into the promised land. But I mean, very little about him. But yeah, it was a strange appointment. But when you see those, as I say, I can only hark back to what Sunderland's done with Lebris and say, this might work. And it's good that they didn't rush it. I think if you rush a managerial appointment, that's when you make mistakes. And interesting to see how things progress. After you lost the game against Coventry, I don't think it was any surprise. I think from my perspective, Coventry, certainly got the bit between their teeth. Lampard is a good manager at that level, and it's not over. It's not over now, but it's
it did hurt, but it's not over.
Yeah, but yeah, listen, I genuinely feel that if he gets a little bit of time, he'd probably get it right.
No, I think Teddy Boy, it seems to be the way of gone are the days of, and I'm going to say we because I'm going to make myself feel like your age as well. Gone are the days of appointing managers, mate. It is now head coaches. Managers are no longer, and we saw, funnily enough, David Moyes talk about this just recently about how much has changed in his lifetime of being the manager that was the scout. He was he was the recruitment. He was everything. And now it is just young, hip hop, 37-year-old Swedish good-looking dudes that come in and take the roles of head coaches now, as did Regis Labrie. He's come in as Sunderland's head coach and done all right, mate. But Kim Hellberg takes the reins at Borough. And in a weird one as well, it takes the reins of Borough that were in second, now third.
Yeah, well, he's certainly got a bit of a tough job on his hands.
Yeah.
It's no surprise, like you're saying, in terms of what Sunderland did before that, in terms of pointing, Steve quite said, for us, it's a relative unknown, but Hellberg, well, believe it or not, was actually on the short list before Regis Labrie got the job. He was certainly looked at. I'm just looking to see what the odds are of him becoming the next Wolves manager in the next 6 months.
Okay, we're having technical difficulties over to Cyprus where we're cutting his connection. But no, how dare you? It is going to be an interesting one.
If he is any good, then obviously you've got that problem where
you do.
Is this a long-term appointment anymore? I think we'll be looking to hold on to Regis Labrie for any sort of length of time. But listen, let's get him in charge in his first game. Interesting to see that he follows the sort of Bielsa principle of coaching.
Yeah, I know, right?
Run them into the ground.
Yeah,
that's great if you've got a full pre-season with them.
Yeah,
when you're joining just towards halfway through the season, that could be a little bit tricky. So maybe he's got one eye on next season rather than this one. But wait and see, mate. It's exciting times. It's you've got your man. Let's see what he produces.
Yep, exactly. And it's all systems go now for Middlesbrough. Obviously, the midweek game that we did miss was the Coventry game. We did lose that 4-2. Middlesbrough went down 2 goals in the quick first 20 minutes, lads. And I was sitting there going, well, Coventry are too good. It's simple as that. I was going to go and, I don't know, play FIFA or just, bake some bread. I was going to teach myself how to bake some bread because I thought it was over. Then we bring it back to 2-2. I couldn't believe it. Hey, how dare you? All right, and maybe I'm meant to be Baker. And then we bring it back to 2-2, and there's life. I'm up and about. I'm nude down the street. I'm excited. Riley McGree's out there whipping crosses in left, right, and centre. And then they score another 2, and it's all over, and I hate myself. Do you know what I mean? And that's what football does to a man. It was an incredible performance by Coventry. Lads, they are so clinical. They are very, very clinical. And I think I was talking to a lot of Coventry fans midweek, and funny enough, Teddy Boy, it's another team that they think have been spurned on by a bloody Ballard header. Which seem to have turned everything them around. They said ever since that Ballard header, they've said that they're going to be more clinical because they felt like they had the chances to beat you on that day, that they weren't clinical enough. Well, Frank Lampard has definitely made them clinical. They have got a goal difference now of absolutely 15 goals, between them and second place. And they've got a 10 gap lead now as well on second place. So it's Coventry's to lose from here on out. It's going to be a big game today against Derby. We will talk about those, but we're just looking backwards just for the time being. So Middlesbrough coming off a draw to Oxford and obviously the loss to Coventry, where they need to pick up 3 points this afternoon if they are to stay within that top 2. Otherwise, they could fall very quickly. On to the Mackhams, who went to London and came up short. Teddy Boy, unfortunately, we had the caller's curse. I think we all went for a Sunderland win there. And did you? I'm not sure. I don't think. I think we did. We sent Sunderland to Fulham with the Freezer crowd.
I haven't gone for a win in our predictions all season.
Haven't you really? Jeez, look at you. You're so smart. You know what I mean? You're so smart and good looking. I mean, this is why we get you on. We need to talk. Sunderland have had a loss against Fulham, 1-0. I didn't think it was going to be an easy game for Sunderland travelling to London. It never is. I did think that Sunderland could get something from it, but to take a 1-0 loss there, Teddy Boy, happy or?
No, I mean, I wasn't happy about it. You've got to be very careful moaning about performances when you're having the start of the season that we've had. That one, rather than being like the 2-0 defeat at Man United, where you go, all right, we maybe tactically got that wrong on the day. Maybe showed them a little bit too much respect. It was more like the Burnley result where you kind of thought we just didn't get going. And there was definitely a point in there to be won, but yeah, listen, we move on. We've got an opportunity. I thought it was just a little bit disappointing that we didn't make as many chances as we normally do.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, I'm not going to completely blame it on this, but the referee was absolutely horrendous. The free kick that they eventually scored from, never a free kick at all. There was some of the decision making was just absolutely bizarre. I was sat next to a Newcastle fan. I did the double header of watching us and then the Geordies straight after. I was sat next to a Newcastle fan who was just like shaking his head in disbelief, going, "What have you got to do to get a decision out of it?" You know. So yeah, and then of course later on the day he just didn't give a stuff about the Sunderland result because the Geordies had a bit of a good one. But yeah, listen, we've got a perfect chance to move on. We've got a home game, and it's a home game that we need to get points out of because the run in after now, barring the easy 3 points down at Anfield where we'll get Arne Slot sacked.
Can't wait to verse them next season in the Championship.
The game's starting to get tricky after Liverpool.
Yeah. Tell you what, we've got the Swedish manager. We might get the Rat Isaac as well, the way they're going. Steve, obviously, Sunderland taking the team down to Fulham, never an easy task, but given where they were on the table, the form guide as well, you would think Sunderland could have gotten a little bit more than the 0 points from Fulham.
Yeah, I thought, to be honest, the match itself, the highlights that I saw on Match of the Day, I don't know whether that was accurate or not. I didn't see the full game, but it was, it looked as if Fulham had the majority of the play. And it just looked like Sunderland came up short on the day, which is going to happen. You know, you can't carry on making those kind of performances week in, week out. And, you know, it's how they bounce back now, really. It's, they've got to bounce back. If they don't bounce back, that's going to be the major issue for Sunderland. Suddenly they're on the wrong kind of run. So it can happen, and that's why Ted's been very careful on what he said on here, because he knows, you know. And I was out with a couple of Sunderland fans for a couple of hours last night, and they were saying the same as well. You know, they were saying, look, you know, it's the message you're getting from all Sunderland fans is, I'll just be happy if I stay up, you know, and you can understand it. But look, losing to Fulham 1-0 it's no big disgrace away from home. You know, you come up from the Championship, you've got to win your home games, and if you grab a point away from home, that's great. Anybody can beat anybody in the Premier League. That's the problem at the moment. It really, really is a strange old league. And like I said last season, there is a top and there's a bottom. There's just no middle table at the minute, because you can win 2 games and you can be chasing Europe, or you could lose 2 games and you're just a couple of points above the relegation zone at this point in time. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, it's how Sunderland bounce back from that result that's important.
We are going to be looking forward after the break, but looking back at the moment, by looking back, we've got to talk about the curse. The curse I put on Erling Haaland last weekend, Steve. I said he's going to get the 100th goal. I said he's going to be an absolute victorious Man City. Oh, hello, Newcastle. We forgot you played well at home. It's incredible, Steve. Obviously, it's like you are a different beast at St. James's Park. It's like they put something in the water, or the away room has got like COVID in it or something like that, because they were nowhere near what the levels were expecting of Man City rocking up to St. James's Park last weekend. I think you had their number, and you're absolutely right. When it comes to Erling Haaland, he cannot score. Against that centre-back pairing.
I mean, Jamal Lascelles and Shaw have never conceded a goal against Haaland. And you know, this is Haaland versus every other team in world football, and this is Haaland versus Newcastle. It's as simple as that. And apparently, at the end of the match, nobody could find Erling Haaland, but there was a photograph in the Evening Chronicle, and Haaland was actually in Malik Chow's pocket. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, it was a good day for the Toon. You know, we had a wonderful result. And I think that's why it's been so frustrating for Newcastle over the course of this, you know, opening few months of the season. It's been you know, annoying for Newcastle fans, because we are capable of these type of performances. And you know, we lost 2-1 to Barcelona, but you know, had it not been for those wonderful Rashford goals, we would have got something out of that, you know. And we've turned up for the big occasions, but Brentford away, West Ham away is where we've let ourselves down. And you know, the midweek game against Marseille, I was expecting us to win that, and we lost 2-1, and it was down to, you know, individual error again by the goalkeeper, which changed the whole perception of that game. And you know, the Aubameyang's 2 finishes were exemplary, but that's what you expect from a seasoned Champions League striker like him. 36 or not, he's still capable of finishing an opportunity if it's presented to him. And
not wrong.
It's been a topsy-turvy week for us, and we'll go again as we'll look ahead to today to Everton. And it's not an easy game. They won with 10 men last week, and you're thinking, this is out of the frying pan. Out of the frying pan into the fire. But the Man City game, I'll focus on the positives.
Yeah.
The performances from Harvey Barnes this season.
He has turned a leaf, has he not? I mean, you've been talking about how much you need goals from elsewhere, considering the loss of Isak and all that sort of stuff. Harvey Barnes, for the past couple of weeks, mate, I put him in my FPL. I'm that confident.
Yeah, he's one of those players at the moment who is really having he's having his day in a black and white shirt. He's scoring for fun. He's getting into the right positions. He's grafting as well. And at the time when Anthony Gordon just is looking a shadow of his former self. What is going on with him? I don't know. At the start of the season, I was saying he was trying too hard. I felt he was focused. He was focusing. He's focusing too hard in the wrong areas. Then I've got a feeling, is it a bad run of form that he's in, and is he carrying an injury that nobody knows about, which he isn't. So for me, the only thing I can really say with Anthony Gordon is that he is suffering because he's suffering more, as is Elanga, I suppose, and not having that out and out striker like Isak. And I think I don't think you become a bad player overnight. I just think the fact that they've been set to play a certain way with this striker Gordon rather than Elanga, but it's not working. And Alexander Isak has put his career on hold, and he's put Newcastle United's development on hold by what he did in the summer. And I was saying this last night to a couple of Newcastle fans and the Sunderland fans I was out with. I said, had Ekitike been allowed to sign for Newcastle or come to Newcastle in the early part of the window, and Newcastle had then agreed to sell Alexander Isak, I don't think either Liverpool or Newcastle would be in this position. And it's such a frustrating thing for us. But look, it's not all over. We are still in the Carabao Cup. We're still in we've got the FA Cup to look forward to. We're not a million miles away. Last weekend we were talking about it could be a 10-point gap between us and Sunderland. It's back down to 4. And we are an unpredictable team. So, I guess anyone who plays us just doesn't know what on earth is going to happen. Yep. But, we'll wait and see what happens today.
Could Gordon perform well today, considering that it's Everton?
I wouldn't like to see him in the team. I'd like to see him on the bench. I genuinely don't want him to start today. He's never had a good game against Everton since he left the club. He always seems nervous down there. He didn't leave the club obviously in a good light. He was chased out the training ground. People were chucking stuff at his cars. He was getting insulted. Part of you says, well, this could be a game where he could suddenly turn his season around and turn his fortunes around. But the flip side says you can't drop Harvey Barnes. The decisions how he's got to make today are there for all to see. He's got to pick between Ramsdale and Pope. And he's got to pick between. He's got to decide on what he does at centre half, because does he bring Dan Burn in? If he plays Dan Burn at left back, I don't think I could even defend him today. He's got to play Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento left and right, because they're superb. They changed the game for us last week. And then you've got to play, I think, Fabian Schär and Malik Chow. I know they've both played constantly, but I would play those two. I would rest Burn. I'll put him on the bench. I would rest Pope. I would put him on the bench, and I wouldn't play Anthony Gordon. And I think I would go down there with a strong team. And the rumor has it that Wissa he is training with the ground with a team now. But the rumor is he potentially could be on the bench today, which would be great to see at last. Wissa playing some part for Newcastle United. We need that, mate. We need that.
It's been a tough old week, Teddy. Just before we get to Troll of the Week, mate, coming to you obviously with Newcastle, mate. It's been an up and down week. Obviously, we've seen the events unfold with the Marseille trip and how ugly that was in the Champions League. And then also, but they're coming off the back of a Premier League victory against Man City, sitting in third. I mean, it really is one of the toughest teams to predict. And it sounds like, obviously, on the team sheet as well.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that we were having the conversation about, Harvey Barnes is going to sort of hold up a pole position on the left wing over Anthony Gordon. But here we are. He's taken his opportunities, Harvey Barnes, and he's looking like a cracking player. He's played himself into form and into contention to hold that spot down. Gordon, there's comments there saying he hasn't played well for a year. Maybe not. I mean, personally, I only see limited chances, so I doubt the Newcastle fans' knowledge on this one. But at the same time, I'm starting to see why they're saying that, because I don't know. He doesn't look like he knows what kind of player he wants to be. Whether he wants to be sort of a hug the touchline kind of winger, or wants to drift in and sort of have like a free role. I don't know. I just feel like you need some sort of direction, so to sit him down and say, no, this is exactly what I need you to do through every minute of the game. It's a nice problem to have when you've got an England international that will play himself back into form. And Anthony Gordon is a terrific player. I've said that from day one. I've got nothing against him as a player. I think he's terrific. He will be back, but right now, Harvey Barnes is just absolutely loving the opportunity. The one question I was going to put to Steve and any of the Newcastle fans watching as well, the centre-back situation, it's an interesting one. And with the away form in the Premier League, Steve, being iffy, let's call it, do you think there's an argument could be made for three centre-backs?
I think they could, but... I do think that's a possibility. And I mean, Eddie Howe has done that in the past. And I think that's the way that he squeezes Dan Burn in. Listen, I'm not against Dan Burn, by the way, but I don't want to see Dan Burn at left back when Lewis Hall's fit. That's just not right. And for me personally, he's gone three centre halves, and it wouldn't surprise me if he went three centre halves with two full backs today. It really wouldn't. I think things change once Wissa's fit. I think he goes back to 4-3-3, and I think that's the formation he's playing. I think Voldemar will sit out, and I think Voldemar will come in to hold the ball up, and you can't say that's how it's going to go for the rest of the season, but because injuries and suspensions and that play their part. But I think he goes 4-3-3, and I think he puts Wissa up front. I think he plays Alanga on the left and Alanga on the right and Barnes on the left. That would be strongest 11 at this moment in time, But I've got no doubt that in his mind he would probably play Chow, Shaw, and Burn. And I know people are saying, well, what about Botman? But I am not Botman's biggest fan. I think he's a good defender and he's a good option to have if one of those is injured. But I think it's either Botman or Burn. And I think you rotate those two if you're going to play three centre halves. But I know some people don't like Shaw and his long passes out from the back, but I just think that takes the pressure off, and he's got a more accurate pass than some of our midfielders at times. So it'll be interesting to see what he does today. But it's not an easy trip to Everton, and I think he could go three centre halves today with those two wing backs. I really think he could do.
Well, it is going to be interesting to see, and obviously we have got an up and down table, and it's not going to get any easier.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's
weird
crazy.
thing.
Honestly, teams are from 17th are now climbing, and teams that are in 6th and 7th are going down. It's crazy. It's going to be an interesting Premier League season, as is in the Championship. And speaking of Troll of the Week, Dan Byrne, if you are listening, that is at Steve Wraith. I can give you his phone number and address. He does sound like he doesn't like you, mate. I'm sorry, mate. Oh, you're an England international. If you want to feel love, mate, come down to the borough. It's time for everybody. It's time for Troll of the Week.
Alexander Isak's had some stick over the last few weeks and continues. He's the first Liverpool player in history to lose each of his first 4 Premier League starts for the club. He's actually the first centre-forward not to score in his first 4 games since 1906 as well, apparently. Everton fans are loving it as well. It's officially 200 days since Alexander Isak last scored a Premier League goal. Jamie Vardy showing that not all footballers are as intelligent as Anthony Gordon. I don't really like Indian food. I prefer English food like pizza or Chinese, said Jamie in a recent interview. And I love a name of referees. Here's tonight's officials. Fu Ming. That's excellent, isn't it? Absolutely.
That is very good. That is very good.
I am going on a bus today to Everton. I'm not travelling by train. Can't get a train back, so it's a bus for me. I haven't been on one for a while. This is not the bus that I'm getting, by the way. And with all talk of...
playing out from the back
Yes, with all talk of Birmingham's new stadium, it was nice to see a Sunderland fan coming up with this great idea for their stadium. Maybe pink slices on the corner of the stadium of late will look class. We can do it in our Birmingham. I thought that was brilliant by the Sunderland fans. Jackie White would be proud. Yes, Johan Wisser is on his way back to Newcastle's team. So thankfully, 2042 now. Won't need to be the year that Johan Wisser returns to the squad. And I've already mentioned Anthony Gordon. I don't want to see him playing today for Newcastle. I'd rather see him on the bench because this is Anthony Gordon when it's not a big game. And I did like this. Ed on Twitter had put, been adopted by some Frankfurt fans and been escorted to their pub. If you don't hear from me, then it's been fun. His next post a few minutes later, can't stress enough how sound these Frankfurt lot are. Having the time of my life here. A little bit later, got robbed at knife point, lad. Look, everything bar my hotel key, and I didn't get to the ground. Yes, travelling away can be fun, can't it? On the continent, be safe, fans.
Yeah.
I did like this in our comments. Why Borough on a Northeast show, said Fred Holmes. Rye replied, because we get comments like this from you, Fred. Thanks for the support. And I need some help. A few months ago, lads, I accepted a friend's request from a guy called Buster, as we both had an avid interest in the 70s band, The Sweet. He sent me the odd video of the band, but then he started to bombard me with not only videos, but non-stop messages on Messenger. Now, as much as I like The Sweet, I thought enough is enough. So I tried to unfriend and block him, but I was unable to. This is where I need technical help. Does anyone know the way? There's got to be a way to Blockbuster.
Well done.
You have, by the way, lads, you've heard of Elf on a Shelf. Yeah, you have Shite on a Kite. And David Blame is fuming. His record of doing Sweet FA in the box has been smashed by Alexander Isak. And just stop oil have put forward a solution to keep Popey from leaving the box. And to be fair, PSG are a world-class team. It was PSV, Arnie. Oh, in that case, we're proper.
Yeah.
And here's Arnie Slot going on his holidays. I'm sure that's a place in Wales. And Liverpool are hiring. They're looking for anyone who can keep out at least 3 goals a game.
God.
Someone who knows how to spend £500 million. Qualification, must have hair, must be able to convince Trent to come back, and must insist that Van Dijk and Salah are the best ever, even when they are 50 years old. Apply online. Send your CV to you'll never walk alone until we lose.com. And Marseille fans were laughing at this Newcastle fan who unfortunately decided to jump onto the rope netting, and if you can just see, he was suspended like that on the rope netting probably for about 10 minutes at the Marseille game. And just bought a Liverpool advent calendar. All the windows are boarded up and someone's nicked the chocolates. And Charlie says Liverpool are, and they've got excuses for everything.
No, Charlie's right.
Just want to congratulate the Everton fans today. They're going to unveil a Gary Speed Memorial Bench at Hill Dickinson Stadium before the game today. He passed away 14 years ago, and Everton and community staff will be based in the area around the bench before every game, every home fixture for supporters who wish to talk or seek support or learn more about the services available. It's the launch of the club's first ever Talking Bench. So well done to them. Absolutely brilliant. That is Troll of the Week.
Welcome back to Three's a Crowd. You are joined here by Rye, Teddy, the Mackham, and Steve Wraith. We bring you Three's a Crowd, the only Northeast football podcast where we bring 3 teams that hate each other, normally together on a weekend. Teddy Boy's got his hand up.
Yes, yeah. Frankly, I'm disgusted. We get a lot of comments when we're doing the show live. We got attacked for our glasses last week, me and Steve, which was odd. This one's coming from my sister Gillian. Which I'm delighted about. Watching now, love the Aussie. Seriously, Jill? Seriously?
Are you been out last night?
Me?
Look, what can I say, lad? It's the reason I'm the favorite. I mean, you have to have it. You have to have a villain. You have to have the one that they love, you know, on the soap shows. You know what I mean? And then you have to have the wise, you know, the wise man. You know what I mean? And Steve's the wise man. Ted, you're the villain, and I'm the one they love. You know what I mean? So like, it's just I didn't choose the role. Okay, so I'm sorry.
Just like having a family dinner. This
checks in the post.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We have got a shorter turnaround. We've got to get Stevie Wraith off to Everton, so we have got to talk quickly about the 3 games that all the teams are going. But quickly, lads, I've got to do it. I've got to talk to you about it because it was something we covered so much in the summer. Alexander Isak going to Liverpool, and they have gone down the absolute gurgler. Ted, I don't think I would have seen £130 million, 130 million pounds spent more worse than what it could potentially be the Alexander Isak situation this season.
Yeah, just remember it's 260 US.
Isn't it crazy, mate?
260 million US. Aussie dollars. It's £2 mate. I was stronger. Yeah, listen, it's weird to see. Not just the Isak purchase and how badly that's gone, but just to see the way that Liverpool are panicking when they're on the pitch. They're going to goal down against Forest, and Forest fully deserved that 3-0 win. But Slot's panicking and putting more attackers on when they're going to goal down, and you think, what are you playing at? You know, it's just gone like it's wacky races. It's fun watching it, to be honest. I've never been a great fan of Liverpool, and long may this continue. It's just great to watch. It's making it much more interesting in the Premier League, and that's why we're having outsiders creeping into the top 6 this season. And yeah, it's absolutely great. I don't believe Slot will be there much longer. I really don't.
Really?
I think he's got to get the result against West Ham today, which is no mean feat because their form's on the way back. And then they've got us. And if we take any points away from Anfield, I reckon he's gone.
It is incredible, Steve. I mean, you were probably hoping as a Newcastle fan, but you were saying just before how much the Alexander Isak has obviously affected some of the lads still at Newcastle. Would you honestly, deep down in your heart, thought that Alexander Isak was going to fail as miserably as he does? I mean, it is. You can't tell me that it hasn't been a failure, Liverpool fans, because it has been £130 million signing from Alexander Isak. This man couldn't not score last season. I mean, for the past couple of seasons, it wasn't like he was a one-season wonder. He has done this for Newcastle over a period of 2. He was the reason they did Champions League and Carabao Cup success. Steve, could have you put, honestly, any sort of fathom that Alexander Isak and Liverpool would be like this?
Definitely not. I mean, the only signs he got at the start, though, of the season was when Mo Salah put something on his social media. I think I've mentioned this to you guys before. And some Liverpool fan, a fairly big account, put something up like with the photographs of a couple of the lads who'd won the league last year, but they'd incorporated Alexander Isak and Florian Wirtz into this picture. And Salah actually went public on his timeline and basically said, I think you should show respect to the people who won the trophy last season. So he wasn't happy that Alexander Isak and Wirtz were on this like picture that this guy had, this meme or whatever it was that this guy had developed. And I don't think Salah's happy about these players coming in. Is it a financial thing? Are they getting paid more than him after his contract had been sorted out? Or is it simply that they don't like Arne Slot's coaching methods? I think what we're seeing now is that, Arne Slot came in, didn't change things a great deal after Klopp had left and got lucky. And now he's really suffering from going out and splurging, and he did splurge vast amounts of money on the wrong players. I can't believe at this moment in time that he's talking about signing another forward in the transfer window in January.
Isn't it? Wild.
I mean,
what does that
say? What does that say to Ekitike and Alexander Isak? I think Ekitike as well. I genuinely think these guys. I just think that he looks the kind of person who could cause an argument in an empty room. But it's about egos. This really has the same kind of look as when you put Cristiano Ronaldo and Paul Pogba in the same dressing room. Yep. 2 huge characters along with other big characters, and I think it's completely knocked the dynamics. And I don't think Slot knows how to manage them.
No, and I completely agree. And Liverpool, you honestly, for him to sit there and talk about how much he needs to get to January and gets the signings in when he spent £450 million. You are absolutely taking the laugh. Lads, we need to talk quickly about the 3 games we've got ahead of us. Let's kick it off with Middlesbrough taking on Derby County at home in what has been a 3-game week for Middlesbrough in the Championship. We've had a draw to Oxford. We've had a bad loss to Coventry. We have got Kim Hellberg's very first game today. The Swedish man is in. The IKEA meatballs are cooking. And obviously the flat packs at the back 4 are going to be well built with those little screws that nobody knows how to work. I'm interested to see what Kim can do. He's only had 2 training sessions with the Borough. He's only had 2 days in charge. I don't think it's time to come in and reinvent the wheel. I think he's going to need to come in and slowly adjust to the way he wants to play. But I'm very interested to see how a Kim Hellberg team sets up against Derby County. But we need a win today. And Derby County, I tell you what, Kim Hellberg, you've come from Sweden. There's no tougher opponent than John Eustace, the coach and manager of the current Derby County, mate. You have got a tough hand because John Eustace is very, very well set up, Teddy boy, as you were well aware, versing him last season, mate, when he was at Blackburn. He's now at Derby County, mate, and he sets his teams up well. And I think Middlesbrough are in for a tough afternoon. We're still struggling in front. Tommy Conway missing a sitter. I'm going to be interested to see if David Strelic, our £8.5 million pound striking, is back. I keep saying dollars because I'm Australian. That if you don't want to do that. And Ted, I think Middlesbrough can get a win today because it's Kim Hell. But I just think there's something there with that new manager bounce.
Well, they'll be certainly hoping so. You're right. He's only got 2 sessions, mate. I kind of see them, showing that much difference from what we saw against Coventry. What he will want to see, though, I think, is a bit quicker in the build-up. I just found that when I was watching you against Coventry, I felt like every time Borough got on the ball, and it wasn't a bad performance. I'm not
it wasn't.
I just felt like they slowed the game down, whereas Coventry were in a hurry to get up and take their chances, and that was the difference between the two. Listen, you're right about John Eustace. He's an excellent manager. He's somebody who I thought probably would have been on the list, although I know Steve Gibson doesn't like going for managers who are already in a job, so to speak.
Yep.
Which is quite respectful, even though it probably does limit his options a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, listen, it won't be an easy game. However, I do see Borough coming out on top on this one, mate. So I'm going to give you my prediction now. I'm going to go 2-1 for the.
I'm going a 2-0 victory in a tough afternoon, Steve. Obviously, Kim Hellberg's first in charge, mate. John Eustace is a very well-known manager in the championship levels. Derby County, no pushover. There has been some bad blood there as well between Steve Gibson and the ex-owner of Derby County. So it's going to be an interesting watch today, mate.
Yeah, it is. I think there'll be a new manager bounce, though. He hasn't had a great deal of time to work with the players, but I think the players will be wanting to impress. You haven't got a bad bunch over there either. I think that I think they'll naturally have been disappointed with the manager. There'll have been that uncertainty that once the Wolves manager got sacked, that he might be off. These things aren't the kind of things that players ignore. They're going to know. Yeah. So I think they'll want to bounce back off the back of that Coventry. And the Coventry game wasn't a humiliation, not by a million miles. 4-2 is no disgrace. And, Coventry are a really good team. But I think that Borough will have the bit between their teeth. So, yeah, I'm predicting a Borough win today as well. I'm going to go a little bit closer. I'm going to say 2-1.
Nicely to hear. On to Sunderland. They have got Bournemouth at home. This is a tough afternoon, Bournemouth, and definitely an interesting afternoon for you, Teddy boy. I think Bournemouth sitting in 8th are obviously very well prepared. They have still got their mid star in Semenyo as well. He hasn't left yet, but there is talks he will leave in January again to Liverpool because they need more players. Ted, after coming last week, a tough loss to Fulham. You've got 7th still locked in, but you've got Bournemouth right on your tail. You kind of need to look for a result here, if not only taking a point against a tricky opponent in Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's going to be another one of those games where we're looking to pick up a point and work our way towards 40 points. All well and being good and being in the top half of the table and all that sort of thing. That, as I've said all along, the main objective is to get to 40 points and make sure we're still playing Premier League football next season. As far as the squad's concerned, it's pretty much as you were. Sirkin is still yet to make an appearance in the first team yet, although he has got minutes under his belt. Mundell's on his way back as well. Habib Diarra is also doing well to get back. I think we might see him just before the Derby game, but I think it's just going to come a bit too soon for today. So it's the same squad, and that should be
Xhaka yellow today.
To get some sort of results. Sorry,
Xhaka yellow today. Xhaka yellow. It has to be today, right?
Yeah, let's get him. Missed the Liverpool game, and then let's concentrate on that. It might be a tactical yellow today. Let's put it that way. Interesting though that in terms of midfield options, I'm going to hurry up a little bit. Guendouzi from Lazio has been mentioned to be coming in January. He's worked under Lebris before, which is a good one. Bizarrely, Dan Neil rumoured to be going the other way and heading to Roma, which is just proof that if Dan Neil could be mentioned in the same breath as Roma, ask the bird out who's too good for you. Do it, because you might just get there. You might punch above your weight, but you might just get there. Having said all that crap, ones each.
Ones each. There you go, Steve. Quickly, because we've got to get you on a bus to Everton, mate. Give us a quick Sunderland outlook. They've got a tough opponent, mate. Bournemouth are no pushover. You've played them already this season, and Sunderland has got their turn at the Stadium of Light this afternoon.
I said this game would be a draw when I saw it last week, and I'm not going to change my mind. I think Semenyo playing is a big threat. If Sunderland aren't on that game, they'll get beat today. This is another one of those potential banana skins. What Bournemouth do is they come and set up to defend, catch you on the break. They'll do that today, and if they do manage to get past their Sunderland's rear guard, Semenyo doesn't miss chances. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think Sunderland's momentum will keep them going, and I think a 1-1 draw will do Sunderland today.
I think Bournemouth will take the cheesecakes today. I'm sorry, Teddy boy. I'm going for a 1-0 win to Bournemouth with Semenyo to score and Xhaka to get a yellow in the first 15 seconds. On to Newcastle. We need to look at the game that you are heading to. It is Eddie Howe versus David Moyes. It is Newcastle going away to Everton. Steve, I'm going to put it straight out there. You suck away from home. And I'm trying to be nice. And we know that you hate Dan Burn. We apologise to Dan Burn earlier in the podcast, but I think he's going to come straight back in because Eddie Howe absolutely loves a tall man, and he does love Dan Burn, even though you don't. I think Everton are going to win this today just because of your performances away from home. And I just think he's going to play Dan Burn, and I think it's going to catch you out.
Okay, I'm going to go 3 centre half because I think Ted's right. I think Newcastle will go with a defensive mindset today. Yep. I do think Lewis Hall will play. I do think Tino Livramento will play. I think he will go with Byrne, Shaw and Chow as the 3 centre halves. I think he will stick with Nick Pope in goal, which won't please a lot of fans. I don't think he'd put Ramsdale in. Be very surprised if he does. And be interesting to see what happens there. I think he sticks with Barnes. I think he sticks with Murphy. And I think he sticks with the usual. I think he sticks Voldemort up top. And I think he sticks with his usual 3 in midfield. Willock will count himself unlucky to be on the bench today because he did have a good game against Marseille. Yeah. I am going to go for, as I said last week and the week before, I still think Newcastle will get a draw down at Everton. I think that first away win will come at the Stadium of Light. So Newcastle United will get a draw today. I'm going to go for a 2-2, a Desmond 2-2. And a big tribute to this man, Gary Speed.
It's going to be a fantastic effort for them. And obviously, Gary Speed, rest in peace. And I love that the Everton are doing the tribute. Just quickly, Steve, new stadium again today, mate?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Hill Dickinson Stadium, never been yet. So looking forward to it. Over 50,000. The atmosphere is really good. Tom Dixon saying take plenty of pictures. I will. And yes, I did used to work on the doors. Chris, nice to see you in the chat, mate. But yeah, look, I genuinely think Newcastle Newcastle fans will enjoy the experience today. Apparently, it's as nice as the Spurs Stadium inside.
Wow.
And I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm going to get out there early though.
For you now, do you reckon?
I don't know, mate, is the honest answer. They still seem to be doing lots of things coming out by email to season ticket holders asking about, now they're asking you about whether they should do season ticket waiting list, etc. Yeah. So, that's it, mate, at the end of the day. But look, from my perspective, looking forward to today's game, mate.
Teddy boy, Newcastle away to Everton. They are not travelling well, but at home they're a different beast. Honestly, I can't predict it. I'm very, very struggling to pick a Newcastle team, let alone a Newcastle form. They seem to be strong at home. Away from home, they seem to be absolutely different, as I said, beast. And I think Dan Burn comes straight back in because I think Eddie Howe is a very, very big fan of Dan Burn, and I think that's going to be their undoing today at Everton.
I agree with Steve to a certain extent that they'll go 3 centre-backs. However, I do think Newcastle will get their first away win today, just to lure them into a false sense of security for the 14th of December.
So look at him playing the wheel.
The mind games are kicking off already. I think the Geordies will win today. I genuinely do. I think they'll win 1-0 today, and then they'll get beat at the Stadium of Light.
Wow, Xhaka as well with the yellow card. Well done as well to him playing that. Everyone's got the eye on the derby. It's rest around the corner, and you've got to be part of this podcast because I tell you what, you do not want to miss the first Newcastle and Sunderland derby here on Three's a Crowd. It's going to get tasty, it's going to get feisty, and it's going to be this little Australian in the middle. And you're going to have to help me. You're going to have to help me, crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go. We have to get Stevie off to the Everton game. So thank you so much for joining us for the quick 45-minute Three's a Crowd. We love each and every one of you. Over 300 of you watching today, and we do appreciate it. Thank you so much for being a part of Three's a Crowd. We'll be back next week where we look back at these results and look forward again. And we've got the derby on the horizon, lads. It's getting tasty. This is the place to be to get all of your news and all of the rivalries between these two men and myself. Take care of one another. Be kind to one another. From now, it's bye for us.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat. It's a promise.